Hey everyone, Dan here. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. And keep in mind that these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as, investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence. Put in the work for yourself and make your decisions based on that. Enjoy. All right, folks, here we are on Monday, January 15th. We're going to take a look at Tell today. So Tell trying to push back up toward this uptrend support. We had this in from this swing low here at about 48, and it banged off of this a few good times at the beginning, but then when it came time for the real test, it almost looked like it was going to hold right here, right? It slipped it, but caught right off the support on that 66 level that we had and pushed back in. But that 75-cent level just proving too much selling pressure was there in order to hold on, wicked off of it the next day, and then lost that uptrend support. That said, being that it's on sort of like its second round of losing this, first round here, second round here, it's another level below where it was, but it's trying really hard to hang on to this 67 level. It flipped it to resistance on these couple of days, but then on Friday, clawed it right back. Relatively tame day, but enough to get it back up and over. And so I'm interested to see, what's it going to do with this? And just keep in mind, there's three options here. One, it could, come back up and who knows, relatively conservatively, or sort of like in a more lackadaisical way, make its way towards 75. It could shoot up. But, is it going to rise and try to make another attempt at 75, which again keeps this uptrend support in play, like it could re-enter it? Or is it going to flip this to support, confirm that support, and then draw back down? There's certainly another level in here, and it's not going to clutter it up too much to put that in, because the next level down there, strong level-wise, is not all the way down at 75. I'd put it here at about 61. It's sort of it's a little bit, if I could put in two levels without making it incredibly cluttered in a certain area, I would put one here as well, right about 60. But, we'll leave the one at 61 for now because that's where it'll hit first. So that's fine. So the question there, like I said, is it going to confirm this resistance right around 67? If so, is it going to come down and test 61? Is it going to need to stretch that far, or can it catch some sort of mid-range support up in here? But the third option, right, so we have up, down. Third option is it going to just pin itself to this 67 level and just kind of ride this out for a while? Maybe sometimes it's a little bit above, but not all the way to 75. Sometimes maybe it's a little bit below, but not all the way to 60. And just kind of consolidate here for a little while. I feel like folks often forget that there's a third move. It's not just up and down, but there's sideways. And sideways can be a really interesting period to watch a stock, see what it's doing, look for indications on the next move. So I actually like those periods of time, even though you're just sort of like preparing, but that gives you the opportunity to prepare for the next move, as opposed to just trying to like incessantly catch a move. Something's moving up, I'm going to try to catch it while it's moving up, or something's moving up, I'm going to try to catch it while it hits resistance and bangs back down. It can be sort of like frantic in nature. But in any case, I am interested to see. It's just sort of 3 bars in at the moment, right? These 3 candles here are sort of telling the story of resistance, question mark, resistance, question mark, support, question mark. So that's what a wrestle would look like. So if that sort of pattern persists, that is what sort of pinning itself or wrestling with that level would look like. Now, is it going to do it? I don't know. Could take off in either direction. As we know, Tell has a history of extreme volatility, so that could certainly sort of spark at any moment. Now, in the think or swim side of things, here's what the story looks like. Very brief trigger and fire here, but that was enough. That trigger and fire was enough to set off this move from about, say, 60-ish all the way up to well over $1. Well, not well over 104 or so. But then very quickly got drawn back into the channel, wrestled with the mid-range a bit, and now what we're looking at is sort of, is it going to be able to hold this low to mid-range bound, this gray bound here? and that would be the equivalent, right? Pinning itself between these two and sort of drawing the mid-range down a little bit, and then it would look the same. If it pins itself to this 67, I would posture or speculate that it will, sooner than later, it will also just be pinning itself to the mid-range of this channel, because the mid-range of that channel will come down to meet it, and it will just be laying on top of it there, which, again, that's the setup that I look for and I like. Ideally, it takes a little longer to get there because these quick ones are still hard to catch. You have to be like right on top and watching the stock like a hawk. But if it does start to pin itself to the mid-range and we see something like this play out, but maybe it sort of does it for a lengthier period of time, right? This is at least a few more candles. But yeah, something like this, or maybe even longer, where these dots down here are red at the same time. That's the triggering mechanism on the TTM squeeze indicator. So I'll be looking to see if that takes shape. If not, we do have a relatively wide channel here. It could stay in the channel if it stretched all the way up into the 80s for the time being, and could stay in the channel if it came all the way down into the mid 50s for the time being. Now this channel is dynamic, and so it shifts every time candles are put in, so those levels will change if you see this video in a week or whatever. But that's where it sits today, and I'm interested to see if it sort of unfolds with that ideal setup that I look for, which is pinning it to the mid-range there. It's has the earmarks of it, but again, it's so is just the beginning. It's a baby still. It's just three bars that we're trying to gauge this potential to pin itself to this 67 level off of. So don't take it take it with an enormous infant-sized grain of salt, because this is very much in its infancy, and like I said, it could explode for who knows why, and it could plummet for who knows why, just based off of the previous price action. But this is just me pointing out a possibility, and something that, if it does play out like that, gives us an opportunity to say, okay, this looks like this is taking shape. Where's it going to go? And when is it going to fire off? All right, folks, I hope that you are enjoying your long weekend. And as always, I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video.